Hi, Data Ben here. Today we're going to look at this project of creating a multiplication table. So you can see here we have a grid of numbers. So what have we created here? So what we've done is we've created a multiplication table macro. So if I set, let's say we want the 1 times table, and we want a grid of 5 times 5. So we've entered that. You click create multiplication table and it will create the table for you. So you can see here 5 times 5 is 25, and so we can expand the table. So maybe we want it to be 20 numbers, so you'll see there it expands all the way down to 20 automatically and all the way across. And maybe we want it back to 10, but this time we want to have the 5 times table. So if we enter 5, we'll see we get the 5 times table and the appropriate headers for that as well. So 50 times 50 is 2500, for example. So how have we created this macro? Let's look at the VBA. Okay, so we press Alt F11 on PC and Function Alt F11 on Mac to open up the VBA. And you can see here in this module loop data, we've got the macro that's attached to the command button, which runs the code. And it's called multiplication table. Let's see what it does. So first we declare our variables, and we've declared the appropriate sized variables for the data that we're working with here. So do you remember how many numbers you can store in integers and how many numbers you can store in longs? If you don't know, please see the video on data types. Okay, so first we apply the settings for this. So if we have a look, we have multiplier and table size. So that's range B2 here and B3, so 5 and 10 in this example. And then we set the header cell. Okay, so what we've done is we've set a header cell into memory, which is actually this B5 here. So this is where we're saying we want the code, the looping code to start, is on this cell. B5, and we've used a new syntax here of cells. So instead of using range B5, which would work, we've used a new syntax of cells. So we're saying cells, and then it asks for the row. So row 5, column 2. So if you look at Excel, you can see row 5 is here and column 2 is here, which is the range B5. But like I say, we could have used range B5. This is to show examples of new types of syntax. The next section of code clears the contents of the previous table. So we always want to start with a blank slate, so it's a good idea to blank out what you have run previously. So let's actually run the code. So first we're going to create a breakpoint. I'm going to create it here so that the code runs up until this point. So you can see we have a red breakpoint, and I'm going to press the play button. And let's go back to the spreadsheet here, and you can see that it's blanked out all of the data apart from range B5 here. So this first line clears out all of the results. This line clears out all of the row headers, and this line clears out all of the column headers. So you can analyze that clear contents for yourself. But what we've done actually here is we've started to use a new syntax called offset, which we'll cover in the next section. So we've now moved on to the first loop. So we're going to do F8 or Command-Shift-I in Mac to move line by line, and we're going to start with the do while loop, and this is to fill in the row headers. So we want to fill in the headers on the B column, and it says do while X is less than or equal to table size. So we know table size is 10. You can see here in the locals window that we've got table size as 10 in memory. And we're going to do next line, and now we're going to do header.offset. So we're saying the offset from the header of 1 row and 0 columns, we want to fill in that result with something. So we're starting here, so we're saying 1 row off and 0 columns is cell B6. And we're going to say we want the X, which is 1, times the multiplier, which is 5. So 1 times 5 is going to be 5. So we should have a result of 5, which we do. and then we're going to let it loop up all the way to 10 times. So let's add a new breakpoint below and click play to finish that loop. And there we go, it's filled in 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So it's offset from here, it offset once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, etc. all the way up until it's finished the loop. So up until the table size of 10. And now it's going to do the same again, but this time we've just decided to use a for loop just to show a different type of loop. And this is, I would say, is the most commonly used loop anyway, so it's very good getting used to it. So this is for x equals 1 to table size, so 1 to 10, and again header.offset, but you'll see here the x that we've used is in the column header, is in the column instead of the row. So we're going to go sideways this time. So we're going to start here. Instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4 down, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 across the columns instead. So let's run that all the way through the loop. So let's see if it's gone all the way across, which it has. So it's done the same thing, but this time it's gone across. Now we need to fill in the results of the data. So first we're going to do a loop. So, we can see here we actually don't need this y equals log 1 because, so we're going to delete this. There we go. So we're finally going to fill in the table. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to loop through the rows. So this is where you have to think about how you want to do the loops, because we've got 2 loops within each other here. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to start on row 1 and loop across this way, and then row 2 and loop across this way, all the way until all of the lines are filled in. You could refactor the code, and refactor means change the code or improve the code. If you thought it was an improvement, to go downwards instead, that could be an option to fill in the table too. But we've just decided to go from left to right here. So for x equals 1 to table size, so we're starting on row 1, and then we're doing for y, so we're starting a loop within the loop to loop through the columns. And first, we want the value of the header here, and then we want the value of the row here. So I'm going to refer to this as the y-axis going along, and the x-axis going down here. So we have the x-axis, we're saying the header offset is 1, so is x, and then the header offset for the y value is y. So at the moment x and y are 1, so it's found, we've started here, so it's gone 1 down, 1 across, which is the first result. And to actually fill in this, so it's got the results here, so you see here x value, it's the actual the values in those cells, so 5 and 5. So it's taken those values from those headers, and now it's going to fill this in at the offset of x and y. So header.offset xy, so it's saying, yeah, 1 down, 1 across, we want 5 times 5, and which is simply what it does here. So this is where it actually does the calculation, the x value of 5, which you can see, times the y value of 5. So that will fill it in, which it's done there, 25. And let's just run to the next one. You'll see the numbers update in the locals window here. So we'll say, okay, we've got a y value of 10. So it's found this one now, but we're staying on the same row. And it will fill that in. And you'll see there 50. So you could just keep running through just to see the numbers updating. So I've done it a number of times here, and it's got to 50, and it's actually going to loop up to the next line now. So it's gone, okay, we've gone to the table size of 10. So we're going to start on the next line, and we're going to increase x by 1 here. So, and then it will loop up, and start and continue to fill in the rest of the multiplication table. So this is the main core, these loop within a loop that's creating the table. And it's done as succinctly as possible. So I'm going to press play to finish the rest of this off. Okay, so we just want to check whether the result has come through as we wanted, which it has. And it's automatically done all of these calculations for you. You see the results are all values, there's no formulas. This is completed very quickly by VBA. So looping up and doing simple calculations is very quick indeed. The main section I'd look at is, this is the first time we've looked at doing loops within loops. So do check that you understand how we've gone from doing the X row and done 10 of those, and then incremented by 1 to the second row, and then done 10 of those with the Y loop. So this is a key to understanding loops within loops, because they can get quite in depth. And I would recommend that you don't really do many levels of looping. So I would recommend going up to maybe 3 levels maximum. If you're going beyond 3 levels, then your code is likely too complex, and there will be another solution to the problem that you're looking for. So we've covered how to do loops within loops. We've covered doing a for loop, a do while loop, and also the new offset syntax, where we've taken one cell, B5, and done many calculations based just on starting on this cell. And that's how you create a multiplication table in VBA.